is where MAGA comes to talk. We're going to start the show in just a couple of minutes. And, of course, you're all welcome to join. We've got a lot to cover. And, of course, there's a lot that's happened since last night. So we will be covering quite a bit on the program. Okay, now I'm gonna start the other stream in just a moment, and I want to let you guys know that if you're watching on this stream with the green behind me, if you want to see and hear the audio and video that I play, that I'm discussing, and the articles and everything that I'm going over, switch over to my main stream, which I'm starting now. And the main stream, it's right here on YouTube. It's on my channel. You will get the benefits of everything that the green screen provides, the full green screen effect. You'll see and hear the audio and video that I'm playing on the program. You'll see the articles I'm talking about and everything else. The link to the main stream is pinned in the live chat, and it's also in the description of the video. All right, let's go. Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. We've got a lot to cover today. And, today, of course, is the major memorial for Charlie Kirk in Arizona. The president and vice president will be there, and a whole host of others. And we're going to talk here in the beginning about Charlie Kirk and what's going on. And the left still do not understand, okay? And there's so much discussion going on. And the mainstream media, which is a wing of the DNC, they just have no idea what they've done. So we're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more on the program. Your calls certainly are welcome at 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are tuned in. So I've canceled all my plans today. I'm going to stay home and watch the Charlie Kirk Memorial on television all day. And people are lining up like nobody's business. I mean, they're predicting, I should say, 100,000 in attendance. I don't know, it could be well over that if you count the people outside. I've seen video of people lining up. One person walked the line at about 2 a.m. Eastern time, which would have been, are they in Arizona? They're on Pacific time, right? So 11 p.m. Arizona time, 2 a.m. East Coast time. The line was 1 mile long then, a mile long. I don't think any of us understood the popularity of Charlie Kirk, but Charlie Kirk's popularity is whatever it was the morning of his last day. It's that times infinity right now in this country. And I got to tell you, there's been, in American history, there have been a handful of moments that have changed everything. And I'm gonna name three, okay? And there are other important moments in history, but what I'm talking about, there are moments in history, in this country's history, when everything changed and we went into a completely different direction. And I'm gonna give you three. One, the Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre is what woke up so many in the American colonies. The Sons of Liberty became mainstream and led to the American Revolution, which gave us this great country, the greatest country in the world and the world's oldest democracy and republic. And the Boston Massacre was a turning point in, well, American history, because we have our country because of what that sparked. But also, remember when the American colonists declared independence on July 4th, 1776, the entire world was run by kings, queens, emperors, and tribal chiefs. This was the only democracy in the world. And I don't want to hear any debate about we're a republic, not a democracy. We're not, we understand that, okay? We're both, it doesn't matter. But the Boston Massacre sparked something that changed the planet. And it was one of the moments in American history that changed everything. Now, again, there are other important highlights in American history. Don't misunderstand me. What I'm talking about, I'm giving you 3 examples that actually just popped in my head as I opened the podcast. It just popped in my head. None of this is pre-planned. I don't script anything or anything else. This just popped in my head after I hit go live here on the podcast. So these 3 moments that changed everything in American history. The first, as I said, the Boston Massacre. The second was that bus driver that got Rosa Parks arrested when she wouldn't give up her seat to a white woman on the bus, which led to everything changing in the United States, Rosa Parks in that moment. And I know all the history about Rosa Parks and all that, but it changed everything. That's when the civil rights movement really truly began against the Democrat Jim Crow segregation in the South, because Rosa Parks led to that's what caused the Montgomery bus boycott, and everything changed. So that's the second moment in history where everything changed. When there was one incident, right? You have these incidents that overtake the country, and the country says, enough of this. We're going to be a free country. No taxation without representation. This happens with Rosa Parks. We're not going to allow these Democrats to segregate black people anymore from our society, and boom, that changed. And the assassination of Charlie Kirk is the third such moment in American history. The level of change that's happened in this country with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we're living through it, but I don't think that many people have gotten the true perspective of what has changed. This business with Jimmy Kimmel as an example, okay? If Jimmy Kimmel who's been doing his anti-MAGA comedy from 2019 for years to very few viewers, if he would have done something similar to what he said and did before the Charlie Kirk incident, nobody would have even noticed. But the assassination by this lunatic Democrat of Charlie Kirk has united this country like it was united after the Boston Massacre, after Rosa Parks and others. And we're in the beginning of a major change in this country where people are saying enough of this BS. We're sick of these left-wing monsters on television telling us that we're Hitler, that we're Nazis, that we're homophobes, that we're racist, and we're all these things that we're not, that they throw out to discount us. Screw you. We're taking our country back. We're fed up with you. We're not watching your shows. The news, you all suck. You lost credibility years ago, but this is the final straw. And that is what's happened here. And, a mile long of people waiting to get into the Charlie Kirk Memorial, 12 hours before the event, in the heat, all day they'll be out there waiting, in the heat and cold of the desert, and in a very hot time of year. It's an amazing moment, and it's a major change in this country. Let me go through this article from CNN, all these creeps at CNN. Here's the headline: Grief, recrimination, and a watershed moment for the conservative movement Charlie Kirk founded. This is no longer, this just shows you they don't understand what the freak has happened here. By the way, my name's Brian Craig. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for the Brian Craig Show. I'll pop up. If you want to catch the show live, go to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, sub there, and you can catch the show live when I'm taking live calls and such. And if you're watching on the live stream with the green behind me, you want to go to my main live stream where you can see and hear all the audio and video and the articles that I'm going to share. The link to my main stream is pinned in the live chat as well as in the description of that live stream. Okay, so what's going on right now isn't just about the conservative movement, the MAGA movement, the Republican Party. It's about the American movement. I've heard more people say the American experiment. They're all, the American experiment. I know that's an old phrase, and I understand what it means, but this is a moment in the American movement. I take things away from the politics sometimes so you can understand. And I will in a minute, but let me go through this article. I don't want to get too far away from these lowlives at CNN. So here's CNN. Here's their headline. This is an article this morning: grief, recrimination, and a watershed moment for the conservative movement Charlie Kirk founded. See, they don't even realize that this is a major turning point for the entire country, not just our conservative MAGA movement. Charlie Kirk's funeral. This is CNN reporting out of Arizona. Charlie Kirk's funeral here Sunday will punctuate a watershed moment for the grassroots conservative movement he founded as a teenager and was working to advance earlier this month when the gunman shot and killed him. For Kirk's supporters, see, they think that all these people lined up were Charlie Kirk supporters before he was killed. A lot of them are. I mean, I listened to Charlie Kirk on occasion. You guys did too. We knew who he was. We knew he was close with the president. We may have agreed with what he said. You'd see him in your X feed and everything else. But they don't understand that most of these people that are lined up, most of these people around the country who have been grieving since this assassination, well, we may have agreed with Charlie Kirk. They may have known of him. They may have seen him in their X feed or something. They weren't, I know this is maybe an inappropriate word, but they weren't disciples of Charlie Kirk back then, right? It was like many of the other conservative pundits to most conservatives. I was talking on one of my live streams on YouTube yesterday, and I was talking about this on the morning show on Friday, I do believe. You guys saw me here on YouTube. I was in shock at how much I was crying. And I could hardly get through the show for a few days. And I believe that this is the first time I have cried for the death of someone who wasn't a family member. I did cry when President Trump was shot in Butler, and I was terrified, but he didn't pass. And they just don't understand that there are people that they haven't just unified the MAGA movement, the conservative movement, and grassroots Republicans. They have unified the country against them. And they're too arrogant and stupid to even see it. All right, let me get back to this CNN article. For Kirk supporters, see, they just don't understand. They just don't understand. For Kirk supporters, the days since the assassination have been defined both by intense grief and deep anger at the forces that they believe contributed to his killing. CNN and all the rest contributed to his killing by instigating anger by an entire generation for over a decade against MAGA people. His death at age 31 has galvanized his followers behind his conservative views and Christian faith, and they resolved to continue to strengthen Kirk's movement. See, the reason I'm sharing this article, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll get to some calls in a bit. See, they don't understand. They think this mile-long people that were there at 11 o'clock, 12 hours before the memorial, okay? They think that they were all part of Charlie Kirk's movement before he was killed. Some of them may have been, but most weren't. There's a lot of conservative activists out there. There's a lot of conservative organizations. There's a lot of conservative influencers and talking heads, and it's not that we don't agree on most things or everything, but you're not a follower of all of them. They don't understand. They think that this is just the Turning Point USA Charlie Kirk following that's upset. They're so freaking stupid and arrogant on the left. But political leaders and some of Kirk's most public-facing allies have also converted their fury into clamping down on opponents they accused of inciting political violence or disparaging a man they saw as a generational leader. That response in the aftermath of the killing has sparked fears of a government-led crackdown on dissent, all building into a fertile movement for the country. They still don't get it. Many thousands of mourners are expected to gather to hear remembrances from President Donald Trump and a slew of conservative luminaries, including several top administration officials and Kirk's wife, Erica, in her first remarks as the new CEO of the organization Kirk founded, Turning Point USA. Trump has been front and center since nearly the moment Charlie Kirk was shot on the college campus in Utah. It was Trump who announced Kirk had been shot during the event and later that he had died. It was Trump who announced during an interview on Fox News that a suspect in Kirk's killing was in custody, and it is Trump who will be the final speaker at Sunday's event. Aides said Trump has been heavily involved in writing his speech, which will include personal reflections on his friend and the impact it has had on his political movement. See, again, they don't understand this is a movement for the entire country. They just don't get it. While his remarks, these are the president's, are expected to be more personal than a typical presidential speech, Trump is known for veering from his script. Yes. Throughout, Trump has remembered Kirk as a close friend and critical factor in helping him win elections and shape his administration, but he's done little to lower the national temperature. Going after radicals on the left, he says, are responsible for an atmosphere of violence that led to Kirk's death. Absolutely. While a source close to Kirk said there wasn't coordination on Trump's announcement, those close to the political activists were thankful to the president for taking charge at a moment when grief had overtaken them. Everyone was so overwhelmed and distraught, how to communicate what happened seemed impossible, one source said, noting that Kirk's profile had grown so large it was unclear how they could appropriately deliver the tragic news to his following. He did us a favor. Charlie legitimately loved President Trump. It was right. Trump called Kirk's wife while she was still at the hospital to offer condolences in what one source described as an emotional one. Shortly afterwards, arrangements started being made for Trump to travel to Arizona for the funeral. They've asked me to go, Trump said last week. I think I have an obligation, yeah. The event set to be held inside State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, which can hold more than 70,000 people, is likely to offer a window into the sentiments that, of course, threw Kirk's circle in the aftermath of his shooting. See, they still think this is a circle of people that were followers before. They don't understand that all MAGA people, all conservatives nationwide have united, and a whole bunch of people that weren't conservatives have been red-pilled. Many close to Kirk are in the public eye and have grieved openly on social media, some cheerfully, others with anger, and others seeking consequences beyond the man in custody charged with shooting and killing Kirk. They took my effing friend, one friend of Kirk's told CNN. We want justice. Yeah. Sources close to Kirk described the hours after his death as chaotic. Kirk's wife and several of his closest friends and colleagues flew immediately to Utah after being alerted of the shooting, one of the sources said. Multiple sources said their primary concern was making sure Erica Kirk was on her way and informed. Conflicting information was being circulated as Charlie Kirk's allies tried to glean updates on his condition. He lost so much blood, but we thought there was a chance, one source told CNN, yeah. Ultimately, doctors told those close to Kirk that there was no way to bring him back. Okay, so let me just scroll down. Well, I think I got enough of this article. I don't need to read any more of this. But yeah, this is without a question, people. One of the biggest turning points this country has experienced. I gave you the three at the top. If you missed the beginning of the podcast, if you're watching live, rewind it and start from the beginning. If you're on hold, you hang in there. I have a lot to cover. I am going to cover quite a bit. And I'll get to some calls a little later. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And I'd like to ask you all that if you're watching with the live stream with the green screen, to go to the main stream, and you can see in here everything that I'm sharing. I'm going to play some audio sound bites in the next segment. You will not want to miss those. Hold on, I'm just pulling something up online. And the link to the main live stream is pinned in the live chat, as well as the description of that live feed. So go there and check that out. Now, I want to talk about Dr. Appleton, who has rid me of pain 7 times. I just got together with Dr. Appleton yesterday, on Saturday. I went to his office to record some new commercials that we're going to be running on the radio and here on the podcast and everything. And, you know, I was talking to him about the laser, and I was talking to him particularly about my knee. You know, I had over 30 years of suffering with knee pain, and I said, you know, Doc, I don't understand. How did the laser, after 30 years of suffering, rid me of pain just after a couple of visits and treatments? And I saw immediate relief the next day. And he said, Brian, this is Dr. Appleton. He said, you know, Brian, there's other people that do lasers, but they don't have the laser I have. He has a special targeted laser that actually is robotic and moves around the entire area and goes deeper into the body. And he says, I was able to treat every part of your knee, front, sideways, underneath, from the sides, deep into the knee. And the laser actually repairs the damage that's causing the pain. And he, of course, did that with the other 6 times after that he rid me of pain. If you want to say bye-bye to your pain, like I've done 7 times, go see Dr. Appleton. And you know, with the laser, it is 100% painless. You don't even feel it. There's no surgery, no drugs, no shots. It works on every type of pain I've ever heard of: arthritis, bursitis, work and sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck and back injuries, knee conditions like I had, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain. The list, it goes on and on. And it's amazing. And, you know, we have listeners from all over America who come to see Dr. Appleton. In fact, when I was with Dr. Appleton on Saturday, he was telling me that the day before, on Friday, 2 listeners that are in North Carolina, that listen to me in North Carolina, came to see him, and both husband and wife, and had treatments with the laser treatment. So give him a call. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. And the consultation is free. It's a free consultation. So just go meet with Dr. Appleton. It's free consultations, and talk to him about the laser away pain treatment. His number is 954-973-0710, 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710, and online, AppletonCairo.com. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back with your calls and much more after this. What? Hold on. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks for joining. All right, if you want to call in, the number is 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Jack from Sarasota again.
Hey, Jack. Yeah, okay. Hold on a second. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Oh, hey, Richie. How you doing?
Good, good. Well, I've had time, you know, I love your show on Sunday, and especially today, and I've had time to reflect on this whole thing that's going on. You know, I believe that if Charlie, well, I'm going to give you an example. The biggest minister in the United States back in the 1950s was Billy Graham. He went all over the country. He was loved by a lot of people. He wasn't called a bigot. He wasn't called a racist.
Yeah.
He believed in, you know, in other words, he preached Christian values all over the country, and he was loved by the presidents. They actually called him the minister of the presidents. Okay.
Yep.
So I look at Charlie Kirk, and if Charlie Kirk had preached these same messages in colleges in the 1950s in this country, he would still be here. There would be no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, they have turned this country upside down with their. How can I say this? I mean, when you have a Supreme Court justice during her confirmation, a woman, not being able to tell you the difference between a man and a woman, that she couldn't give you the definition of a woman, we have a problem in this country.
No doubt about that.
Charlie Kirk basically got assassinated by a movement, not just an individual, by a complete movement called the Democratic Party and the left-wing crazies, okay? For saying the simple thing that there's only two sexes. There's not three sexes.
Well, you know, and Richie, we go through this a lot because it's important to understand. You're right. Everything you said is true. Martin Luther King was killed by the Democrat. You know, remember, Martin Luther King was standing up to the Democrats. Charlie Kirk was standing up to the Democrats. Abraham Lincoln was standing up to the Democrats. You know, every president shot except one was a Republican. You know, and of course, Kennedy was shot by a leftist communist who was married to the daughter of a general of the Soviet Union. So, you know, the liberals are always they can't win. So when they finally give up, they shoot people. And then they want to tell you the problems with the person that got killed. Like they're still doing it. You know, they just that's how the Democrats, that's how the left have always operated.
Brian, if you said there's only two sexes, they would twist that and say you're a bigot. And that has nothing to do with being a bigot.
I think you're right. I think President Trump said this the other day. He had the exact percentage, but about 10% of presidents have been shot. All but one was a Republican, right? Kennedy, right? I mean, think about that. I mean, you know what? So we found out that this attempted assassin of Justice Kavanaugh's transgender Democrat. This Democrat that was going to assassinate the Republican governor of New Hampshire that got caught. I was talking about that on Friday. The Democrats are violent. They are violent. And they keep wanting to say that both sides need to tone this down. Who are the Republicans killing?
Yeah, I want you to think about something. The Pope, okay? The Pope has to go around wherever he goes now in a bulletproof bubble.
Yep.
You know, there was a time before they attempted on his life, he could go around in a convertible down, with seeing the people without a bubble. You had President Kennedy, who was actually in a convertible. He had the top down.
That's right.
I mean, what has happened? What has happened is that these extremists that the Democratic Party have taken in, and they've brainwashed these people to think that the Republican Party are racist and bigots against you. So they've broken everything down. Exactly the caller that calls you every day that says you are a racist. The guy Renee from Harlem and the other one from Jersey. I mean, because you cannot disagree with these people because they automatically they turn on you in the worst miserable way. They won't have a discussion with you. They don't want to discuss anything. You are a racist. You are a bigot. You are this. You are that. They villainize you like you're not a human being. And they got the Democratic Party and the television on there, all these news, CNN and MSNBC saying, yeah, they're racist, they're bigots,
well, what they do is, what they all are doing is saying, well, you know, this was a bad thing that happened, but Charlie Kirk said this, and that. None of what you said. Exactly. They justify the assassination after that with lies and slanders that he never said out of context and such.
Exactly. And he didn't deserve it. Nobody deserves that. And I don't see Republicans going out there doing anything to these left-wing crazies. I mean, let me tell you, when I hear AOC saying all these threats on her life, baloney. Not from our side. There's no threats on her. They make a lot of crap up. It's just so out of control.
It is.
And you said what's happening? America is turning against them and going back to being decent again. In the 50s, folks, we had a decent country. Things happened during the Vietnam War that a lot of people got all messed up. A lot of soldiers came back on they were addicted to all sorts of drugs, and there was a lot of bad things happening.
Well, you know, Richie, the thing is, I'm gonna move on, but go back over to YouTube, and you won't want to miss the next audio bit I'm going to play. But everything you said is 100% accurate. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh my God! All right, have a good one.
All right, take care. If you're on hold, stand by. Yeah, you know. By the way, I don't know if you hear it in the background. It is thundering and lightning outside like nobody's business. It is raining pretty hard out there. And, well, you know what? I might as well tell you guys about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. It is no wet spots on my ceiling, but if you have a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof. It is hurricane season. It is rainy season. Let me not, my mic is a noise-canceling mic. So I don't know if it'll pick up. Let me see. I don't know if you guys can hear the rain. It's been thundering the whole time and raining pretty hard the whole time I've been podcasting here. I can hear it, but like I said, my microphone's a directional mic that only picks up noise right in front of it, and my mouth is right in front of it, so you may not be able to hear, but it is raining like nobody's business. And it was raining yesterday, too, like nobody's business. Pretty hard. In fact, I saw a dark cloud yesterday out over the ocean, and I took when I went to see Dr. Appleton, I took my MAGA scooter, my Vespa, to go see Dr. Appleton, and the rain started pouring. So I came back home. I looked like I took a shower with my clothes on. And I changed clothes and got in the car. But if you have a wet spot on your ceiling, you got a leak in your roof, call Tom Laporta. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He also, I know, it's great, isn't it? He also works on every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, he even does church roofs. Works with every type of roofing material, and he even has the same roof tiles that are on Mar-a-Lago. So if you want a Mar-a-Lago roof, tell him he'll have those tiles. Give him a call. He can handle the job of any size. He's also a contractor, which allows him to deal directly with your insurance company for the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof. Give him a call or text 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, LaportaRoofing.com. I want to take a quick break. When I get back, you will not want to miss the audio I'm going to play. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig. Back after this. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to share this. You know, any of you fans of Breaking Bad? I mean, who is it? I mean, I've seen the entire series of Breaking Bad, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I've seen the movies and, Better Call Saul and all that stuff. And Bryan Cranston is a real piece of work. Listen to this. This is Bryan Cranston. He's on CNN, star of Breaking Bad, Walter White. And he's talking about the MAGA movement. How about Bryan Cranston when the Republicans freed the slaves that the Democrats were holding? How about when the Republicans ended Democrat segregation and Jim Crow? How about all of that? How about when the first black man was elected president and re-elected again? Was that a great moment for blacks? What a jerk. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Paul.
Hey, Renee. How you doing?
I see the Reichstag moment that you are trying to elevate this guy to the level to bring down all opposition, and I gotta let you know, it's not going to work. Anybody with a brain knows Charlie Kirk was a racist, and that's why you guys like him so much. But it's not going to work.
You know, forgetting about, just to speak for a moment here, about not the politics, but what kind of man are you that we've got a funeral that over 100,000 Americans are going to attend with a young man, agree with him or not, who was brutally assassinated by a lunatic, a Democrat assassin, and you're here saying some of the ugliest things I could say. I could think that someone could say about someone. Why would you talk in such an anger and with such anger and hostility in your voice about a man who never hurt a fly? I'm trying to understand that.
Well, there's a lot you don't understand. Now, frankly, the guy is a racist, and you know
no, he's not a racist because he's dead.
Well, now
he's not anything now other than a martyr and someone that's galvanized a movement. But you're aware that he was killed by a leftist, right? Why did a liberal kill Charlie Kirk?
A leftist. You want to elevate everybody to be a leftist. Now,
he's gay. He's gay and with a transgendered boyfriend, and he killed the number 2 guy in the MAGA conservative movement. I think the assassin's liberal credentials are pretty strong and heavy.
He's not a black man. What a surprise! He's another white man. Boy, how could that keep happening?
You're as insane as Candace Owens. Thank you for your call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. This is Robert from Oklahoma.
Robert in Oklahoma. What say you?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you whether you thought it was a problem that Elon Musk is calling for civil war, and you have Nancy Mace and Trump jumping to conclusions before any motive or identity.
You know, there's a lot. Wait a second. Let's go to the end part. Trump and Nancy Mace were jumping to conclusions before what? About what? Let's talk about that part.
Right, before anything was known about the motive or the identity or any of the texts were released, Trump was already...
Are you talking about the Charlie Kirk assassin? All right, let me ask you this, okay? Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Okay? You find out that Charlie Kirk has been shot. You do what everybody in the world did. You go to X, and you see that Charlie Kirk was shot dead by an assassin, right? What would your immediate thoughts be as to who would do that to Charlie Kirk?
See, that's the problem, Brian. Because Trump isn't just anybody.
No, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about you. Okay? What would be what is the when you have the number 2 most vocal person in the entire conservative movement? Number 1's the president, right? The number 2 most out front conservative leader in America is shot dead at an event in front of the world by one lone shooter, because there was one shot. What was your immediate thought as to who did it? What was their motivation?
You're asking me.
I'm asking you what you would think. Yes, what you thought. Tell the truth.
I would say that it's a never Trumper, possibly
a never Trumper. Okay, so what category of people's political philosophy fits with a never Trumper? And by the way, I thought it was wrong to jump to conclusions before we had any evidence. So a never Trumper is somebody that hates Trump. So that's a liberal.
That's not always a liberal. There's people on the right who do not like Charlie Kirk and who do not like Trump, who don't think that he espouses true Christian values.
Okay, out of America's out of the high-profile historical political assassinations in American history, okay? I don't want to hear about some random murders of people. I'm talking about high-profile, like when you go to school and you're studying American history in high school. List me the Republican assassins in the American history books in American high schools.
That'll
be in a history book in a high school, yeah.
I mean, Booth.
You can't even think of one. Can't even think of one.
The guy because Abraham Lincoln was assassinated because he got.
No. I didn't say why. Name the Republican assassins. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by a Democrat. John Wilkes Booth was a Democrat.
He was a Democrat? Okay, well...
Of course he was a Democrat. He was with the Confederates. You didn't know that? So you can't even think of one. You can't even think of one. What does that tell you?
That I need to read up, I guess. But
well, yeah, exactly. Read up and then call me back when you're informed. Out of all of the assassins, by the way... there's one Republican. Okay, John Hinckley was a Republican. All right, all the other ones leftist. All the rest of them Democrats. So we've got one out of all of them that was a Republican. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. Let me get back to this, and then I am going to get to the post that the president made to Truth Social. Do you notice with it's like that last caller that I was just talking to, with the Democrats, with the media, with the left, all they're concerned with is trying to take responsibility away from the left. Look at this. This is NBC News headline: "No evidence found yet of ties between Charlie Kirk's shooting and left-wing groups, officials say." Now, officials say, who are the officials in charge of this, right? The Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, right? And Kash Patel, the director of the FBI. Do you really think that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and their top lieutenants are telling NBC News jack about anything? They wouldn't tell them what time it was. Look at this, NBC. 3 people familiar with the federal probe into Kirk's assassination told NBC News that investigators have yet to find a link between the alleged shooter and left-wing groups. They just made that all up. You know, I tell you guys so often that the liberal fake news media have this insane racket going on. All their sources are anonymous. They never have to reveal their sources. So they could just say they have sources. NBC News, by the way, all the stories and things that I share, I post to my X, Brian Craig Show on X. All the stories I talk about and the ones I never get to are all there. NBC News, the federal investigation into the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk is yet to find a link between the alleged shooter and left-wing groups on which President Donald Trump and his administration have pledged to crack down after the killing. 3 sources familiar with the probe told NBC News. I'm calling BS on that. They have no sources. They just made that up, and they just want people to believe that. They want people to believe that because they know that what they're afraid of is that they're going to get in trouble. Okay, they're afraid that they're going to get in trouble because they know that they do have responsibility here. That is a fact. Now, the president went to an event last night, which was pretty cool, and it was a black tie event. And as always, he had a little impromptu press conference. If you're on hold, hang in there. Let's play a little bit of it. Okay, so I really like what the president's talking about here. What meet with them, he's talking about Democrats. He's saying that it serves no purpose to meet with the Democrat leaders. You know, it's what on Monday, Vice President J.D. Vance filled in for Charlie Kirk on his radio show and podcast. And at the end, he went, it was amazing what J.D. Vance said. And what he said is there is no unity. There's no middle ground with these monsters on the left. And he's right. And we see the president here. It's a waste of time to talk to these people. We agree on nothing. We're the majority. We're going to run the country. Here's the president last night in his tuxedo talking about Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, exactly. You know, they're more. You know, these people on the left are more concerned about Jimmy Kimmel being off the air a couple of nights than they are Charlie Kirk being assassinated in front of the world. That really tells you where their priorities are, right? I mean, their priorities are just in another place. Here's another clip of our black tie wearing president. This might be the same one. He's talking about Kimmel here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, exactly. You know, the media, 97% negative stories towards President Trump on a broadcast station. They have a responsibility to be balanced. When you have a broadcast license and you're on the airwaves, radio and television are considered the public airwaves, okay? They're considered the public airwaves. And when you have 97% one-sided coverage, are you living up to the obligation you have with the public airwaves? And you know what? The answer to that is no, you are not. Here's the president at the event. He's talking about Trump derangement syndrome with Dr. Oz. No doubt. TDS. Absolutely, yeah. And the Trump derangement syndrome is a pretty serious mental condition, and it's affecting a lot of people out there in the country, no doubt about that. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to take our last break here on the podcast because I want to be able to go through this story. The president posted something about Pam Bondi last night. I want to share that, and we're going to talk about that. after the break. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I want to remind you guys that all of the extra content I've been bringing you, the extra hour each morning on the morning show that I've expanded to 4 hours, and if you've noticed on the morning show during the week, I have extended the show into the commercial breaks on the radio. So when we cut away for a commercial break on the radio, I'm continuing the show here on YouTube. And of course, I'm doing an afternoon show, weekdays, and my weekend programs, as well as my podcast, all brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. So it's important for you guys to go to MyPillow.com, use my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, and let Mike Lindell know that his support of this expansion of all of my content is money well spent. You know, I waited until a month. I did it for a month to make sure I could, because I'm busy and doing the 4 hours and continuing the show during the commercial breaks and the afternoon show. It's a lot of extra work for me on top of my already busy schedule. And I did it for a month before I announced the MyPillow sponsorship, because I wanted to make sure I could do it and maintain this level. And I've done it. So that's the way it is. So let Mike Lindell know that his support is money well spent. Go to MyPillow.com, use my promo code KANE at checkout, and you can use my promo code KANE on all the specials at MyPillow.com, no matter what it says. And, you know, I talk about what I consider to be my favorites and the must-haves. Don't forget to get this deal while it lasts on the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper that my wife and I have been sleeping on every night for years. The 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper is $50 off and free shipping with my promo code KANE at checkout. $50 off and free shipping with my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E, at MyPillow.com. It's absolutely amazing. It turns your entire mattress into a big MyPillow. And I know when I lay down, when I get in my bed, at the end of a long day, immediately all the stress and everything in my body is gone. It's almost, I can almost see it, like it just leaves my body from every angle and is gone, and I'm asleep within minutes, and I sleep deeply the whole night through. I get like 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, and it's deep, well-rested sleep because of the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper. It comes in every mattress size. It's $50 off and free shipping right now with my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. So that's a big savings. Take advantage of it. Again, you can use my promo code KANE on all the specials at MyPillow.com. That's promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at MyPillow.com. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks for tuning in. So the president, he posted this pretty harsh message to Pam Bondi on Truth Social, later deleted it, and then put up a post praising Pam Bondi. And Laura Loomer says that this was supposed to be a text message that got posted to Truth Social. But regardless, it's nice to hear that the president, that his heart and mind is where ours is, right? This is what the post was that the president later deleted, that Loomer is saying was supposed to be a text. I don't know, but he wrote this. Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey? Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia. They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who is never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him, and there was a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT. Now, he later removed that and then said some good things, that she's doing a great job. So Laura Loomer, who I tell you, I never questioned Laura Loomer. She said it was a text, and she actually wrote this, Laura Loomer. President Trump just posted what appears to be a text message he sent to Attorney General Pam Bondi, telling her the lack of arrest and accountability for deep state Trump haters is killing our reputation and credibility. He is urging her to take action. Now it's public. So he deleted it. So what I'm curious about, and we don't know the answer to this, did he text her this and then post it on Truth Social on purpose? I find it difficult to believe that it was posted the truth on accident. I think it was texted and posted the truth, both on purpose, and he deleted it because the message was sent. Now, maybe after it went public, Pam Bondi called him and told him a bunch of stuff that's going on with the grand juries. I don't know. But I'm very pleased to see that President Trump is in agreement with all of us about a lot of things that are important, right? Where are the arrests? Where are the indictments? Where are the trials? We've expected them long ago, and nothing has happened. So it's nice to see that we're on the same page with our favorite president, isn't it? Absolutely. Absolutely. And he's always with us. He's always got our back. And I'll tell you, if he doesn't see the results that he's asking her for to produce, he will replace her. Whether it's with Judge Jeanine or this Lindsay, I saw her. I don't know, but it is very possible that Pam Bondi will get replaced and things will start to move. These coup conspirators have to be stopped. They've gotten away with a lot for way too long. And if there's not justice with them, when we get our second MAGA president, whenever that is, whether, the next couple elections, if Trump runs it, whatever, they'll be back in business. And they need to be put in jail because things have gotten to be taken care of. Now, if you'd like to support my program, become a Patreon supporter. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes, okay? As well as a lot of other exclusive content that I post nowhere else. There is a link to my Patreon page in the description of this episode, no matter what platform you're listening on, okay? And if you're a top Patreon supporter, you also get your name up on the screen here on YouTube and a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. The names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, and Teresa. These are my top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. And again, the link to my Patreon page is in the description of the episode. And the direct website address is patreon.com/realbriancraigshow. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. So I have canceled all my plans for today, and I am going to stay at home and watch all of the events, mostly on Right Side, but I'm sure it'll be on Fox. Fox and Friends, I saw, was broadcasting live from the Charlie Kirk Memorial this morning. So I'll be watching on Fox and Right Side Broadcasting mostly. I'll see if the MSNBCers and CNNers will carry it, just to see. But I'm going to be watching it all day long. Are you guys? Absolutely. And I may do some YouTube live streams throughout the day talking about it. So make sure you follow me on YouTube at Brian Craig Show and click the notification bell. So if I go live during the memorial today, you'll get a notification and we'll talk. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.